All right, what's going on, guys? So we are now live. So this is going to be a little bit more of an unconventional Q&A. I've never done a Q&A this late. It's currently 1:28 a.m. But I wanted to do this Q&A because I was thinking that I was going to do an extended one tomorrow, but then I was like, no, I still wanted to just do this today and actually kind of see how the later night Q&As worked out. So still going to do this Q&A, talk about some foot stuff today. But before I do that, I want to give a quick major shout out to Dunk Life, aka Steven Dunks. You guys might know him as Dunk Life. If you guys want to get your Dunk Life gear, you can check him out on his website, or you can go to Instagram at the Dunk Life. So shout out to Steven if you see this. Major thank you for the shirt. Yeah, so today I wanted to talk about some foot strength stuff because it's been brought to my attention a lot by someone who's been in these Q&As. If you guys have ever been in the Q&As, his name is Hillel, and he's told me to look into something called the Hyperarch mechanism, which is it's a channel based around the importance of the arc of the foot and the strength of the foot. And it's kind of got started by a guy named Chong Xie. If you guys want to check him out, I'll put links to everything I'm going to talk about in the description for you guys to check out the studies and also his channel. But yeah, he just really goes into depth with he looks at like NBA players, just elite athletes, looks at their feet, and he's kind of made some correlations to foot strength and foot structure and stuff like that to these elite athletes. So some of what I'm going to talk about today is going to not really question that, but I mean, I'm just going to kind of go more into depth on my perspective on it and from what I've read and stuff, and yeah, just kind of tie in together some of what I've looked into with this one-page summary right here that I do with these Q&As. So this again is the shorter Q&A. I was going to make tomorrow's longer, tomorrow is the more extended one, which is the questions I get from the week from my social media and stuff. I'll answer those tomorrow. But I'm gonna talk about a study first that I read about that actually tested foot strength and how it improved vertical jump, how it improved like walking, balance, stuff like that. So the study tested muscle strength, foot arc formation, which is basically the amount of time it takes the arc of the foot to form. So pretty much before like you take a step to walk or before you take before you go into a jump, your arc is going to flex so it can support and stabilize you before you actually go into that movement. So that's kind of what that foot arc formation test was looking at. And they also had dynamic tests such as, again, like jumping, walking, and like other movements like that. It was over an 8-week training period. Now an interesting point is that they tested, so the exercise that they put the subjects through was actually intrinsic versus extrinsic. So intrinsic exercises that they put them through means that they were working the actual muscles within the foot compared to extrinsic, which are the muscles that attach to the foot from the leg. So intrinsic would be actually like working I'm doing it right now, like you guys can see it. It's actually like working on strengthening the muscles within the foot. So they had the subjects do different exercises to strengthen that intrinsic movement. I'm going to talk about an exercise you guys can do or try out if you guys want to work on strengthening the intrinsic muscles in your foot, or just your foot. Also talk about some extrinsic movement. But yeah, so basically, again, so another point with the intrinsic versus extrinsic. So the intrinsic muscles are more responsible for stabilizing the foot and control the formation of the arc, whereas the extrinsic is more responsible for like the foot movement. So like rolling or like curling or just moving, compared to intrinsic where it's more of like a stabilizer. So yeah, so they did barefoot toe exercises in this one at 200 reps once per day, 3 times a week with a 3-kilogram load. Yeah, 3 times a week with a 3-kilogram load. And I went on to talk about like what consisted of the intrinsic movement. So an intrinsic, they just described it as an exercise involving the contraction of the intrinsic muscles of the foot to create the arc. So basically you're mimicking that that formation of the arc by doing an intrinsic exercise to actually work and strengthen that part of the foot. So after it also went into talking about like after practicing a movement like that. This is actually a separate article I read. So after practicing a movement like that, where you strengthen your arc of your foot, you could actually apply it to movements that you do with like your workouts, with walking, with jumping. You basically and this is kind of what the Chong Xie talks about on his channel, which he again he calls the hyperarch mechanism. But from the research I did, it's actually, if you search it on YouTube, you can get more information, or if you search it on like Google or whatever, you can get more information by looking up short foot exercises. So it seems like that was actually where this hyperarch idea came from, was actually like the short foot exercise. Like so I'm not sure which one came first, but the name was thrown around. Vladimir Yonda. That name was thrown around. So I'm not sure if it was Chong Xie who actually coined the term hyperarch mechanism, and just kind of is connecting it to the short foot exercises, or if it's its own thing. They both are tying together the same concept of strengthening the intrinsic muscles of the foot to improve stabilization and improve force output. So the way to think about it is, so like the analogy that I've read about for like core training, and I talked about in a previous Q&A, is that you wouldn't fire a cannon out of a canoe. Just meaning you don't want to have like a weak foundation if you're going to be creating a high amount of force. So pretty much, so if you're going into a vertical jump, let's say, you don't want to have a weak foundation, which would be your feet, because that's the only two things that are in contact with the ground before you go into a vertical jump. So you wouldn't want to have a weak foundation going into that jump. You wouldn't want to lose any of that force through your feet to the ground, because you want to take that up into your vertical jump. So by having a more stable, solid foundation, you could generate more force and take that force more into your vertical jump. So that's why that's why it'd be important to strengthen the muscles of your foot, and specifically the intrinsic ones, to help make that foundation even more stable. Just to get into the exercise, the one specific exercise you could do to strengthen the arc of your foot, specifically like those intrinsic muscles we've been talking about, is sitting in a chair, or actually standing. And so there's two different ways to do this. So the hyperarch mechanism, the way that Chong Xie describes it, is to actually in a stand. Oh, it's kind of hard to talk about this, but I think I might just show you guys right here really quick. So see if you guys can see that. So you can actually, if I could just, it's just the easiest way to do it. So if you guys can see my foot there, so you can actually not curl your toes, but you want to pull your toes back towards the heel of your foot. So you want to form this, you want this arc to contract and actually get tight, and you should actually feel this part of your foot get tense. So you can do that, or you can lift up your toes, press down, and then flatten them, and keep this part of your foot flexed the whole time, and again pulling your toes back towards the heel of your foot. So you should feel like your foot is just like a solid strong foundation. And that's the whole point of doing these exercises, to again create a more solid, stronger foundation, to actually prevent injury, and help you again to keep that force to take it up into your vertical jump. And that was like another key point that I wanted to talk about, is that, and this is again like what Chong Xie talks about a lot in his videos, which I'll link the video to actually how to do the exercise better. They describe it a lot better in the video than I just described it there and showed you guys, but I will link the video that I actually watched to actually learn the exercise, and Chong Xie's channel, so you guys can see the stuff he talks about. But again, he goes like way into depth, and he's looked at a lot of different cases, and he just has done a lot more research into this than I have. So for you guys to see just a different point of view, and I'll also link the studies again. But yeah, just rambling. Yeah, so rambled so much I don't even know where it was. So yeah, so you want to do those exercises to strengthen the intrinsic muscles of your foot, to prevent injury. That's where it was. So this can be helpful if you guys have like ankle problems, if you guys have like if you guys have flat feet, or if you guys feel like you just want to strengthen your feet overall. This can be helpful because, again, if you're strengthening that foundation, if you're strengthening that last part of your body that's actually on the ground before you go into your vertical jump, then it's going to help you in the long run, and also help you to prevent any injuries of like rolling your ankle or other injuries like that can be involved with having weak feet. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about with this video. And I'm also, again, I'm going to link everything that I just talked about, but I'm just going to look at these really quick just to make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, so I don't know if I actually went into it before, but after practicing that movement, after getting stronger, because if you guys haven't done that, if you guys haven't tried that exercise before, it could actually be more difficult than it seems. And the better you get with it, you can actually start to apply it into different exercises you do. Like if you're squatting, if you're doing lunges, if you're jumping, if you're walking, you can actually apply that, as Chong Xie calls, the Hyperarch mechanism, or you can apply that way of flexing your foot, making it more stable into those exercises or into your running or jumping or anything like that again. So yeah, I feel like it's just important to have like a strong, stable foundation, especially for jumping. If you want to add, not if you want to add, but like actually if you do want to add, because in that first study, I didn't even mention that the results of that study actually found that they consider them significant results. That there was a 1.5 centimeter increase in the vertical jump after the 8 weeks. So that would be about 0.6 inches of an increase in the vertical jump. So that is pretty significant if you think about it, just by doing these foot strengthening exercises. So yeah, if you guys want to add a little, every half an inch I guess counts, right? So if you guys want to add or if you guys want to add like something to throw into your routine, then just doing like these simple foot strengthening exercises could help. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about with this video. It was kind of different doing this late because didn't really have that much engagement like in the chat or anything, but to try it out. Leroy said, how does your chest look like? My chest is like, it's not big, I guess, but it's toned. I don't know. It's not huge or anything. Yeah, I just want to try this out, see how the late night Q&A worked out. Who knows? Maybe I will. I don't know. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you did, if you guys watched this, leave a comment down below if you guys have any questions. Message me. Check me out on my Instagram at LikeMikeBarrins. But yeah, that's it for this Q&A. Again, everything I talk about will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.